In this video, we will be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 8 of the series, and in the last episode we saw the foundations for the Mongolian Empire up here with this pretty big country forming. However, as I did say in last episode, it is quite sparsely populated. We also saw Egypt do a bit of expansion, as well as I believe we saw the yellow team go in a little bit of a war. If you do end up enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers, we're almost at 900 now, and yeah, let's begin the video. So we're going to be beginning off this video with our daily Indonesian conquest. It is in this episode where they're finally going to be finishing their colonization of Borneo. This has been going on for I believe 4 episodes. They will also take all of this island right here, and they continue moving up into Southeast Asia, now actually leaving this little peninsula panhandle thingy. Furthermore, we see them begin their, conquest of Papua New Guinea, although there's no one living here. They will take this southern island right here, and we also see the Taiwanese country take some more islands out of the Philippines. They have been not doing anything for a while, and they are now finally ready to continue their expansion. Moving up north to this Vietnamese country, we see them take a little bit of land into the jungles, and they also continue their expansion southward, taking this much land right here, and I guess we could just see them expand in a little bit as well. Next up, we're going to see this Chinese country do a bit of expansion. I believe it might have been last episode we saw them invade this country to gain some land, and this is about the only land left that they can gain, so they will take it right here. And now they're kind of just completely blocked off, because this area beyond here is kind of just a desert, and they don't really feel like expanding into there. But now we're going to be moving over to Europe, and we're going to see our last expansion for a little bit before we actually see a war happening. And it's going to be in this land right here. So the Egyptians, the Anatolians, and the Caucasians are going to come together to divide up this land, as they all three of them want to go into it. And I already drew this up earlier. So this is the compromise they come to. The Egyptians gain all of this land down here, the Turks gain this land up here, and the Caucasians gain this land right here. Just shortly after this, we see the Egyptians continue their expansion into the Sahara, taking this chunk of land right here, and now the Sudanese are starting to feel very threatened by them, as expansion on their border as well as military on their border. It's making them quite worried. But now we're going to be seeing a war happening, and it's actually going to be a pretty large war, in fact. So over in the green team, we see a lot of riots break out, and this is sort of similar to what we saw with this beige country over here. When this country was set up in the remnants of the light blue team, it was kind of too big to exist, but not at the time, as there wasn't many people living there. But now, with continued population growth and just people moving to this country, it's now become too unstable to continue. Multiple different groups are wanting to break away from this thing, and when it hits the population of 15 million people, we see many revolts break out, as southern lords feel that they could take power for themselves, and that is exactly what they're going to do. So over here we see this dark purple country pop up, and this is sort of started in this major city right here, and it continues on, and we also see some more riots in this newly occupied area from the former pink team, and it's becoming a pretty major issue for these guys. To make things even worse, we see a pretty big riot take out in a town just north of the capital, and this causes very big threat to the capital of the country, and this is going to allow a lot of these areas to kind of just fall under the influence of this guy, as we also see a big retreat down here. This demoralizes the army of the green team, and it kind of leads to some more people rising up with these groups. This blue one over here will continue onwards, and it's now looking like they're going to encircle this major city right here. We see this dark purple country continue up north, however now it's kind of being stood still, as these guys can't really continue on. We do see a pretty large military presence here to stop them. Up north, however, this blue team, it's going to continue onwards. This is the higher populated area. This is the rebellion with a higher population, and yeah, it's just going to... And this country manages to fully finish their encirclement right here and captures this major city. This is going to allow a continued push until the capital of the light green team is underway, and it is actually going to be fully surrounded. We then see this purple team finally make a breakthrough of the front lines, blitzing straight towards this major city right here and managing to capture it, and after this the green team is going to surrender. So in this peace treaty here, we can see that the green team's been heavily screwed over. So first off, this purple country is going to get their independence, and they're going to set themselves up down here with this capital city, and they set themselves up as actually a pretty stable nation. They are also a democratic country, and we'll get back to that in a minute because there's a new layer I want to add to show this. Up north, we see this light blue country take over the former capital of the light green team, and it's actually where they set up their capital. And this leaves the light green team right here, and yeah, they've been just absolutely wrecked from this war. Another thing to add is the government of the green team was replaced when the two powers invaded. It's actually making it a sort of interesting dynamic where both of these countries are fighting over influence for this middle country, as they both have like a claim to influence it due to them beating it in the war. Moving away from this, but not away from invasions, we're actually going to see something happening that someone has planned for a while, and that is of course going to be the Egyptian country. So the Egyptians, they're going to send an ultimatum to Sudan. They demand about this much land as well as full control of all of their ports. Of course, now this is a really bad situation for Sudan, because if they were to accept Egypt's ultimatum, they were just going to collapse anyway. It would heavily weaken them to such an extent they wouldn't be able to make much money anymore. So they were kind of stuck either way, so they just decided to go down with a fight. So they will be refusing the Egyptian ultimatum, which the Egyptians were kind of expecting. And yeah, this is going to lead to an invasion. So immediately we see the Egyptian navy in the Red Sea mobilised and quickly moves down to bombard the capital with cannon fire. This is accompanied by a full-scale land invasion from the north, quickly capturing the two major cities of the Sudanese country. These are the only two major cities the country has. We also see a landing take place right down here, and this encircles the capital of the Sudanese country. And yeah, from here, the country just completely falls. So in this peace treaty here, we can see that the Sudanese country has been absolutely destroyed. They lose all of their coastal land as well as this northern land, except for their major city province. And this completely just destroys the economy of the country. And this thing might not be sticking around for too much longer. But now we're going to be moving away from the old world and back over to the new world, because we're going to be seeing some exploration take place. Mostly done by the Mongolians, but also by these Chinese countries. We see a big exploration of the Gobi Desert all the way down here to the Himalayan mountains, which is kind of a natural buffer between them and these Indian states. We also see some exploration into Russia, but not that much. And yeah, now these countries are getting ridiculously close to meeting up with each other. Continuing on with their ideals of rapid expansion, we're going to see the Mongolians claim a very large portion of this land. So the Mongolians will be taking all of this land, as well as now becoming increasingly hostile to this brown country, who they are continuing their raids into. These guys are fundamentally expansionist, and they really want to just conquer as much land as they can, and with these countries kind of blocking them off, they are thinking about continuing eastwards, as they don't believe there's any countries over here. Now, moving down to these Indian states, we're going to be seeing them claim a little bit of land, and this kind of just fully takes over the Indian peninsula / subcontinent. The blue team gets this land right here, and the rest of this land is split between this lime country and this green country. Now, there is a pretty big struggle for power in the Indian subcontinent. These three countries are the main three. These are the three most powerful countries. The strongest at the minute is heavily debated between these two. It's just barely this one. However, with trade coming to this one, it's really heavily boosting them, and they are becoming rapidly stronger than the rest of these countries. And this guy is they're strong because they have a lot of influence over these two guys right here. But that is the dynamic there. But now we're going to be seeing a big war take place before we see some more colonization. So over here in the Gibraltar country. So as we know from previous episodes, the Gibraltar country, they treat this as a colony. They do not treat it as their mainland, despite it being more in this. Despite them being more of an African country than a European country, as more of their land is in here. The purple team decides that they are going to tax the hell out of this colony, and it's really not going to go well for them, as even more uprisings take place. There had already been uprisings in this country due to it being mistreated, but this is just going to go the next step, and uprisings funded by 3 other countries are going to take place. So these are fundings of these Moroccan rebellions right here, and these are in support of joining up with this country right here, who they see as their, I guess, true peoples. Taking a look at the religion map, we can see that the Moroccans are the same religion as this purple country. It's an offshoot of the blue religion. So these guys are going to quickly consolidate up, And at this point, we actually see the Moroccan country, or the Canary country, fully go into this war. They are now directly sending military into the Purple Team, and the Purple Team is now mobilising their military to fight back. They will quickly push down. However, this is going to cause the Carthaginians to demand that they stop, saying that these guys deserve their autonomy. And this is going to absolutely infuriate the leader of Gibraltar, and he is actually going to declare war on Carthage, which is unexpected. Carthage had no idea that that was going to happen. These guys will quickly move into Carthage, but they were going to be pretty quickly stopped at this major city, because not only was the Carthaginians, they weren't prepared for this, but the army of the Gibraltar country wasn't prepared for this either. And this is actually going to have a negative effect, being the fact that now they're at war with quite a strong nation over here, a nation almost as strong as them themselves, but this also allows the Moroccans to push back. They recapture this major city right here, which I believe they had, and they now kind of just push into the desert using some guerrilla warfare tactics. This creates a pretty bad logistical situation for these troops, who are kind of forced to retreat out of this area, and this is followed by a massive Carthaginian assault straight into the Gibraltar country. These two blue guys will then work together to move into Gibraltar, now moving up to this major city right here, where they are kind of stopped. However, it is at this point where this Salmon country, they are also threatening to join in on this war. They had previously broke away, but now even more areas of the Purple Team are in support of joining up with this country. And combined with this, when this city falls, this is just going to lead to a overthrow of the government, leading to another republic being established in the Purple Country, and this government will sign peace with these guys. So let's take a look at this peace treaty. So in this peace treaty here, we can see that the Moroccans and the Carthaginians have taken land, and the Purple Team has been absolutely blasted. They have been heavily weakened by this. The Moroccans will be moving their capital to this city right here, almost exactly where Casablanca is in real life, I believe. And the second part of this treaty, we see something new coming out of this, and that is going to be an alliance forming between the Moroccans and the Carthaginians, and that is going to be the Square Alliance. This is the first African alliance, and these guys share good relations, not only on the hatred of these guys, but it's not really hatred anymore because it's a new government, but they also have a lot of good trading relations, especially with these guys now being very important for these European nations to connect down to their colonies right here, but also with Carthage being a very large naval power in the Mediterranean. This obviously leads to a lot of trade in their country. But now we're going to be seeing a new layer forming up, and that is actually going to be an ideologies layer. Now, this is something I have seen in the comments, and I thought it was about time to implement this in, so we're going to be looking at just that. So, obviously it's going to be represented by a circle on top of the country, so I'm just really quickly going to go around and add a circle for every single country. I'll be right back when I'm done with that. So here are all the bubbles completed, and we're going to have a quick dive through this just to go over some of the aspects of it. So, first off, I just want to tell you what the different colours mean. Most of them are probably recognisable, but some of them might be different. So, first of all, the blue countries, these are democracies. There are no flawed democracies, they are all proper democracies. There are currently 7 democratic nations, I believe, and these only exist over here in Europe. And an interesting kind of dynamic I wanted to show in Europe is the further west you go, the lesser authoritarian the countries are, and the further east you go is the opposite. Next up, we have the purple countries. These are constitutional monarchies. So this is basically where you have a king or a royal family, but you also have a form of parliament that gets to make some or all decisions. The only country that has a parliament that makes all decisions is the Galician country. The rest of them is the monarch still has quite a lot of power in the country. I just want to go over this. The reason that this Finnish puppet state is a democracy is because the Finnish king, an absolute monarchy in Finland, he controls this country, but this country also has a parliament, which is why it's shown as a democracy. Next up, we have absolute monarchy. So this is a country where the royal family has full power, there is no parliament, but it's not a dictatorship because it is a line of succession. A dictatorship is kind of a military leader or such who comes to power in this context here. That also, goes over dictatorships as well. There are a few dictatorships, most of them are located here in East Asia. We have a lot on Japan, And I believe the final one to go over is a religious-based government. So this only exists with these two Chinese countries right here, but this is where the government is like sort of formed and based around the religion. You know, the government follows the ideals of the religion. If that calls for a king or whatever, they will follow it. Of course, this is for this lime religion right here, and this is for this offshoot of the gold religion. But yeah, that is it for the ideologies layer. And the last thing I want to do is a little bit more expansion, and we might be seeing the build up to something. So that is just going to be the Egyptians will take a little bit more Arabian land, and I think we'll see the Qatar country do the same, taking a little bit more Arabian land right here. And we're going to see one more event in this video, I think, before we see a build up to something. And that's actually going to be the discovery of Greenland. So we have some Swedish sailors getting lost over here in Iceland, and they actually discover Greenland, and with a pretty big dose of luck they managed to actually make their way back to Iceland after this. And even though they don't really know what's going on here, Sweden is going to set up a pretty notable colony right here in Iceland. But now, not really moving away from Sweden, we have to talk about something that's just happened. So, Sweden is going to continue expanding into the Scandinavian/Nordic area right up here, but then we have something pretty interesting happening on the border of this country. As we know, this is the Triangle Alliance between these guys and the Norwegian Green Team, and a pretty big border skirmish takes place right here, as both of these guys are sick of each other claiming over land that they also want to take. And this is actually going to lead to a war taking place. But that is actually going to be it for this video. We'll be covering that war at the very beginning of next episode. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. There is just something really quickly I want to mention about, and that is going to be names of countries. So, I don't have names for any of these countries. I usually just call them like where they are based on location. So I call these guys like Rome, I call these guys the Dutch. I call this guy like the purple team or Gibraltar. I would call this guy the gold team. So if you do want to suggest names, feel free to in the comments. I'd be very happy to take in name suggestions. And because I don't really have any at the minute, that would be perfect for me. So if you do want to pick the name of a country, feel free to leave it below in the comments. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.